Hello everyone. In today's session, let us study one method of instrumental analysis, that is from module 5, chapter 1, conductometric analysis. After the discussion, you would be able to state Ohm's law, write a mathematical expression for Ohm's law, derive a formula for conductance on the basis of the law stated, define some basic definitions which are related to conductometric titrations, list different types of conductances and factors affecting conductance in a solution, explain the principle involved in various type of conductometric titrations, draw the instrumentation involved in the conductometric setup, also draw the graph of the titrations which you study, quote the advantages and disadvantages of the method. Along with that, you would be also able to cite the applications of a conductometry. Since the conductometric analysis you have already done in the lab, let us just brush up the memory and continue with the discussion. So this was the conductometer used, and you had a conductivity cell which was used to measure the conductance, and any analyte was taken in the beaker. Of course, you had an apparatus where the burette was fitted and titrant was taken in the same. Now let us see the principle of conductometric analysis. Then we have to proceed for instrumentation. The detailed instrumentation we have to study, and then some application of conductometric analysis must be studied. So in order to begin with the introduction, let us see what is a conductometric analysis. It has been stated as conductometry is nothing but a electrochemical method of analysis. Here analysis is carried out, or it is used for the determination or measurement of electric conductance of an electrolyte solution, and the instrument used is called as conductometer. So any conductometric analysis is nothing but a electrochemical method of analysis. Here we determine the electrical conductance of a solution, and the instrument used is called as conductometer. The fundamental principle behind conductometric analysis is nothing but Ohm's law. Quite familiar law it is from our lower class discussion. So Ohm's law is stated as mathematically as E is equal to IR, where E is the applied potential, I is the current, R is the resistance. Also we know that resistance offered by any part of the system is given as R is S into L by A. We must also know the terms involved here, where S stand for specific resistance, also called as resistivity of the conductor. L is nothing but length of the conductor, and A is the area of a cross section. Then we know that conductance is nothing but the reciprocal of resistance. So it is written here C is equal to 1 by R. So applying value of R here, we get C is equal to 1 by S into A by L. 1 by S is replaced by a term called as K. What is K? It is easy to understand. S is nothing but resistivity. K is the reciprocal of resistivity, so we call it as a specific conductance. S is specific resistance, so K is specific conductance. So in any system, whenever we measure conductance, that is C is nothing but the conductance of a solution is given as specific resistance into A by L. That way we can calculate the conductance of a solution. From the Ohm's law, we must know some basic definitions. First one is a definition of conductance, denoted as C. So here conductance, simply we can say it is the reciprocal of resistance, or else it is nothing but ease with which current flows per unit area of the conductor per unit potential applied. So unit is Ohm inverse, as it is the reciprocal of resistance, or Siemens. Another important definition is resistance. So resistance is defined as the measure of the conductor's opposition to the flow of charge carriers, or we say that opposition to the flow of current, we call it as resistance, and R is given as 1 by C. They are the reciprocals of each other. Also one more term, that is specific resistance. Here it is written as rho. It could be also taken as S. So specific resistance is nothing but resistance offered by a substance of 1 centimeter length and 1 square centimeter surface area. That we mean S is actually given as, we had a formula from the previous derivation. Here if you observe, if you rearrange this particular formula, we get S is equal to R into A by L. So this says S is R into A by L. Suppose now area is unity, length is unity, then S is equal to R. That is what stated here as a statement. That is, specific resistance is nothing but resistance that is offered by a substance of unit length and unit area. Area's unit is centimeter square units. So the same formula is written here. S or rho is given as R into A by L. That is what the formula for specific resistance. Out of the three basic definitions, you must know at least the definition of conductance and resistance as far as exam point of view. Now let us see the types of conductances. All three are important here. So first one is specific conductivity, then equivalent conductivity, and then molar conductivity. These concepts you had studied in the lab for the viva purpose. So let us once study the same and revise. So specific conductance is defined as conductivity offered by any substance of unit length, 1 centimeter length, and unit area, 1 square centimeter surface area. So unit of the same is mho per centimeter. Then equivalent conductivity is defined as conductivity of a solution that contain equivalent weight of a solute that is present between electrode of 1 centimeter apart with the 1 centimeter square surface area. So the specific conductance definition, if we study, we have to add one line to that. Equivalent conductance is also the conductance whenever we take electrodes of unit area kept apart by unit distance, but now it is obtained by dissolving equivalent weight of the solute. Now let us see the third one, that is a molar conductivity. Now molar conductivity is nothing but a conductivity of the solution containing molecular weight of the solute. Now difference between the two is only this much. Equivalent conductivity is measured by dissolving equivalent weight of the solute, and molar conductivity by dissolving molecular weight of the solute. And rest of the definition goes in the same way between the electrodes of 1 centimeter apart and 1 square centimeter area. All the three definitions must be studied. Then another important concept which governs the conductometry is factors affecting the conductance. So here 4 important factors are listed. First one is temperature. It is increased with the increase in the temperature. We know that any reaction, when we increase the temperature, it is nothing but we supply the energy. This in turn increases the movement of the ions and conductance increases. Second important factor is nature of ions. Now here, size of the ion, molecular mass of the compound, number of the charges, then these together we call as nature of ion, and they influence the conductance. Suppose size of the ion is bigger, molecule becomes ion becomes bigger, mobility would decrease, so then conductance would be decreasing. Then the concentration of the ions, it is a directly proportional factor. As the number of ions or the concentration increases, conductance also would increase. Then the size of the electrode, this also plays a major role. Whenever we defined conductance, that is C, we said that conductance is nothing but conductivity, that is specific conductance into the ratio of length to area. Now, whenever length and area of the electrode changes, it means that conductance of the system can change. So, together, four important factors that may vary the conductance. One is temperature, another is nature of the ion, then concentration of the ion, and then size of the electrodes. Now, let us proceed for conductometric titrations. So, this experimental setup was used in the lab where you had a conductometer and a beaker, and there was a magnetic stirrer for stirring purpose. Titrant was taken in the burette and a conductivity cell was dipped. Now, whenever we go for a conductometric titration, the generalized principle what we follow is written here. Later we will take different cases and study the principle. This is the principle which is there in general for any conductometric titration. So here first point is the determination of the end point of any titration by means of conductivity measurement is defined as a conductometric titration. So aim is to determine the end point of a titration. Second thing, during the course of the titration, whenever we go for the titration, the conductivity of the solution would change. That is, there is a change since there is change in the number and mobility of the ion. Important concept is this. Whenever we go for a titration, there is change in the number and mobility of the ion. So, conductance varies. Then we have to draw at the end point of the titration, there is a sharp change in the conductivity of the solution observed, which is shown by intersection of the lines in the graph of conductivity versus volume of the titrant. So in the third step after the titration, you have to draw a graph of conductance versus volume. We would be getting some lines, and from that point of intersection of the lines we can locate the end point. This is the generalized principle of any conductometric titrations. And here I have given a schematic representation in which you can easily show the conductometric setup. This is a part of instrumentation. Now here please see there is a titrant, that is in the burette you have to take the chemical titrant, and then this part is conductivity cell, that is important, which is made up of usually platinum electrodes, and in the beaker you take an analyte solution, that is the sample of analysis, and the conductivity cell must be connected to the conductivity meter, and of course we must have a stirrer in order to bring the uniformity in the stirring. You must explain the construction of the same in sentences as well. One more slide here I have introduced, that is for the conductivity cell. Because conductivity cell plays a major role, two sentences I have added about the same. As you can see in this diagram, conductivity cell is made up of platinum sheets, and each of 1 centimeter square area, and they are fixed at a distance of 1 centimeter. That is why we say that whenever we measure the conductance by taking a conductivity cell of length to area ratio 1, that is cell constant is equal to 1, that conductance is called as specific conductance. The surface is also coated with the platinum black. This actually increases the effective surface area so that conductance could be measured in a better manner. So this could be added under instrumentation because conductivity cell measures the readings. Let us now go for applications. Here we are taking 3 different cases, specific cases, and we are seeing how conductance varies. So first one is titration of a strong acid versus a strong base. Best example is HCl versus NaOH. HCl is a strong acid, NaOH is a strong base. Second one, weak acid with a strong base. Weak acid example is acetic acid. Strong base is sodium hydroxide. Third one is a mixture of strong acid with the weak acid. That is HCl with the acetic acid. which is titrated against a strong base, sodium hydroxide. In fact, this case we have done in the lab as conductometric estimation. Now let us see one by one the three cases. First case is reaction or titration between HCl and NaOH. So predicted product as per the equation is this, that is HCl plus NaOH would give NaCl plus water. Now what happens here, or how the conductance varies is shown in this particular graph. So whenever we take a graph of conductance versus volume, it has been observed that for 0th value, conductance observed is very high. That is because HCl will be having lot of H plus ions, and these H plus ions are highly mobile ions, small ions, so conductance is very high. Then what happens when we add NaOH? These H plus ions are replaced by NaOH and neutralization sets in to form water molecules. So automatically conductance would be decreasing. But then conductance don't fall to 0 because there is formation of sodium chloride. Fine. At this particular point when we reach, all the HCl is neutralized. Then what we do? Then further on continuation, there is no HCl. Still we will be adding NaOH. What is the nature of NaOH? That is a strong base. So NaOH then dissociate to yield hydroxyl ions, and these hydroxyl ions are highly mobile, so increases the conductance sharply. That is why whenever a strong acid is titrated against a strong base, we get a V-shaped graph. The same is explained in sentences in this particular slide. Please see this. The first point is, when the base is added in HCl, the conductance would fall due to the replacement of hydrogen ion by the added cation, that is Na plus, as H plus would react with the OH minus, forming undissociated water molecules. After the equivalence, the conductance would increase due to the large conductivity of OH minus ions. So if this particular case study is given, you are expected to write the reaction and the two reasons for the variation and provide a graph which completes the application by case 1. This slide also explains the same case, but here one additional point is there. That is why that particular variation is, or how you can account for the variation. This particular point is important. The conductance first falls due to the replacement of H plus by the Na plus, and see this, the mobility of H plus is given as 350 units, and literature says the sodium cation have a poor conductance, that is mobility is very low, of the order of 40 to 80 units. Now I hope now you are getting a 350 unit conductance ion is replaced by 40 to 80 units of mobility ion. So conductance shows a sharp decrease. Then once all the H plus is neutralized by OH minus, what happens? As I said, NaOH would contribute OH minus, but hydroxyl ion is again having high mobility of the order of 198 units. It is actually not equivalent to H plus, however quite high when compared with that of other ions present. That is why almost we get an increase to the initial value. So here one more additional point could be remembered. H plus ions have high mobility of the units of 350 number, and sodium plus would be having some 40 to 80 units, whereas hydroxyl ions would be having 198 units, so accounting for this graph variation. Now let us go to the second case. The second case is titration of a weak acid with a strong base. Familiar weak acid I have taken here as an example, that is acetic acid. Similarly, we can write an equation for formic acid also. Acetic acid is CH3COOH. On addition of NaOH, it forms a sodium acetate. This particular compound is nothing but sodium acetate, is called as sodium acetate. Remember, is a salt. Now, why this particular variation is observed must be accounted. Unlike the previous case, observe here, initial value of conductance is very low. That is because first we have an acetic acid which is nothing but a very weak acid. Acetic acid is a weak acid, and what is the nature of a weak acid? It always undergoes partial ionization. That is why observed conductance at the first step is very low. Then on neutralization it is going to form sodium acetate, and sodium acetate is nothing but an electrolyte. It is an electrolyte, and any electrolyte formation must increase the conductance. But since its ion size is very big, conductance increases very slowly. It increases, but it will be a slow increase. And the next line after the point B, this particular line is due to the hydroxyl ions like the previous case. So here only two new things to study. One is neutralization reaction, another is why initial conductance value is low and then why slightly increases. Due to the slow ionization of acetic acid, low conductance, then formation of sodium acetate would increase the conductance. The same is stated here as reasons or drafted so that it would be easy to rewrite. So first step, initial weak acid undergoes partial ionization, observed conductance is less. Then as neutralization proceeds, a strong electrolyte sodium acetate is formed which ionizes to and increases the conductance slowly because ions are bigger in size. And after the equivalence due to highly mobile OH minus ions from NaOH, conductance would show a sharp increase. So here also, if it is asked for the exam, you must be in a position to give an example, write the equation, draw the graph and quote the reasons. Now let us go for the third case. This is a familiar graph as you have conducted the experiment and drawn the graph on your own. So here it is titration of mixture of two acids, one strong acid and a weak acid, and you must titrate it against a strong base. So here the best example that you can take is strong acid HCl, weak acid acetic acid, that is titrated against a strong base like NaOH, and we get a graph of this kind. Now if we are accounting for the same, you have to give the two equations which you studied in case 1, that is first case, neutralization of HCl to give NaCl, case 2, acetic acid to form sodium acetate. Two reactions must be supplied and reason must be accounted on the same basis. Now let us go to the graph back and justify the same. So first point, as it would be revision of case 1 and case 2 as well. Let us proceed now. The first point A is due to the highly mobile H plus ions, high conductance is observed. Line AB, the line AB accounts to the neutralization of HCl. So conductance falls, H plus replaced by Na plus. At a particular point B, this point, all HCl is neutralized. Then the line BC correspond to neutralization of acetic acid forming sodium acetate, a salt which increases the conductance. So at point C, all the acetic acid is neutralized. Then the line CD refers to the conductance contribution by OH minus ions. So here we have clubbed case 1 and case 2 and the same reasons are quoted here. So the first point A, due to highly ionizable H plus ions are produced from HCl, then the neutralization of HCl, conductance would decrease. At point B, HCl is completely neutralized. Then from B to C, sodium acetate is formed, increases the conductance. At C, neutralization of acetic acid is complete. Beyond C till D, due to highly mobile OH minus, conductance shows a sharp increase. So here, any exam point of view, you must know the basic definition of conductance, resistance, then types of conductances, then factors affecting conductance, and a brief note on instrumentation. Also, of the three cases, usually any one or two cases would be asked to describe, wherein you are expected to give the graph, equation, and the reason of conductance variation. Now let us see the advantages of conductometric method. So here no determination of specific conductivity is required because we have adjusted cell constant to 1. Then no indicator is needed. Then all colored or dilute solution can be studied. Next, no, since endpoint is determined by graphical means, accurate results are obtained or no error could be seen with the analysis, or as much as possible we can do the estimation with the minimum error. Then this can be also used for turbid suspension. You can study about weak acid, weak base, mixture of weak and strong acids, and temperature need not to be provided for any calculations. If you do the experiment at room temperature, nowhere temperature must be considered for the calculation. However, the system is associated with major two disadvantages. One is increased level of salt formation may hide the conductivity changes. That is actually whenever neutralization is continued, salt formation takes place and that may hide the variation of the conductance to some extent. Then application of conductometry titration to a redox system is highly limited. For redox titrations, we have to go for potentiometric analysis because hydronium ion can change the variation in the conductance. Some of the applications for the society is listed here. That is solubility of sparingly soluble salt could be detected. Then water pollution could be studied in rivers and lakes. Alkalinity, then salinity of the water could be studied in oceanography. Also we can use it in the medicinal field to trace the antibiotics, then for tracing microorganisms. Then deuterium ion concentration in water deuterium mixture, that is 1H2, could be studied. Estimation of ash content in sugar juice. Then purity of distilled or deionized water can be studied. Similarly, sulfur dioxide produced in the atmosphere and estimation of vanillin in vanilla flavor also could be conducted by conductometric titrations. So as far as VTU syllabus is concerned, application you need not study. The fundamental principle, Ohm's law, then instrumentation, types of conductance, factors affecting conductance, and the three cases must be studied in detail. Thank you.